sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening surrounds the Saints and opponents in the playoffs. The Saints and the Vikings have met 3 times in the postseason. Who is the only team besides the Vikings to play the Saints 3 times in the playoffs? Bears, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks? The correct answer is B, of course. I gave you a little hint before the break. Philadelphia Eagles. Ricky remembers 1992, not so fondly. 2006, we remember fondly. 2013, we remember fondly. So if it wasn't for Ricky, the Saints would have swept the Eagles in the playoffs, but he messed the whole thing up and went ahead and lost the game. So it's all your fault, man.
I tell you what, we had them killed, man. Halftime, we had
did.
them whomped them, and they came back on the second half and got about 28 points on us.
Eric Allen.
Well, I mean, Cunningham throws one in the double coverage,
Right.
and they make the catch for the score.
Yep.
Then the pick six, of course, that Reggie helped cause, and ball game over. So
I mean, that's the only game Eric Allen played.
That's why he eventually came to New Orleans.
That's right. They paid him to come here, and he spent a short period of time here.
Yeah,
Very short. All right, it's time now for our hot seat segment, where we put Brian Ellie Walsh on the hot seat with a hot topic of the day. Table's burning because the question's simple. Will the New Orleans Saints make the playoffs in 2014? Given the fact that they're 0-2, and 0-2 means you don't make the playoffs, typically speaking, as the numbers we will show you would indicate. Brian, the floor is yours.
As always, thank you, Dr. Trahan. The stat I'm going to start out with is this. The Saints, I think, have started out 0-2 21 times. They've made the playoffs in 1990. We all remember that year. Ironhead Hayward, Steve Walsh up in Chicago, okay, 8-8, all right? Now look, they're 0-2. This team is 0-2, but I think they're going to right the ship. They have too many quality players. They have too good a coaching staff to not get in from the NFC. I know 12% of the teams since 1990, when the merger came, or when the new formation occurred in 1990, I know only 12% of the teams have made the playoffs at 0-2. Carolina did it last year. Other teams have actually played and won a Super Bowl, if I remember correctly. So look, 0-2, they haven't played well, but again, I go back to the depth of talent on this team. I go back to the quality coaches. You know, this team has been there for the most part and done that, and I think they're going to do it again. If you look around, and Kenny mentioned the word parity, the NFC is, the league itself is filled with parity, and there's no reason why this club can't come back and win 10 or 11 games and get in the playoffs. And then when you do that, when you're in the tournament, it's the hot team always is, anything can happen.
Amy?
I'm going to agree with Brian. I do think that they put it back together, and I say this for 2 reasons. Sean Payton and Drew Brees. We're talking about 2 people that are probably some of the most ultimate competitors that are in the NFL. 2 people that by sheer willingness will make sure that that team wins football games. Now, are they dealing with some issues right now? Absolutely. Is the offense struggling more so than we would expect? Yes. Is the defense struggling? We don't even need to go any more into detail than we already have about that. But at the end of the day, the fact remains that you're dealing with a head coach and a quarterback that are true 2 competitors, and more importantly than that, proven winners. And I think before all is said and done, neither of them are willing to let this season go, simply look at it as, oh well, you know, we'll see what we can do next year, and rather they'll pull what's necessary into place and make sure that they salvage it. And yes, I do agree with Brian, they make the playoffs.
Well, you know, I believe black and gold, so I'm automatically going to say the Saints are going to make the playoff. But one thing the Saints got to do, they got to rectify their defensive problem. They got to realize that the defensive backs that they have, you're not going to make the playoff with those guys. So you got to make some changes. And if they're willing to make the changes at the right spots, you know, they'll easily make the playoff. They wouldn't even be in this predicament they're in now. So what they got to realize is some players that we got we're not going to win with. And when you move those players, you know, you'll be a lot better. And that's what the Saints got to do. They got to part with some of the guys to get some better players in that position.
Whether it's real or perceived, this club is not the same team when they go on the road. They've lost 5 consecutive games in games outside stadiums. They're 1-7, I think, in the, now I'm not counting postseason now because they beat Philly. but they're 1-7 in their last 8 road games. And look, I know this club doesn't like to admit it, but this is a different team when they go on the road. Does their game translate on the road? It's hard to say because you know what we've seen. This is not the same team that when you see in the Dome. They're going to be a different club in the Dome against Minnesota on Sunday. There's a persona that we don't see at home that we have seen on the road over the last year and a half probably.
Well, Minnesota is one of the weakest teams they're going to play, so this is a must-win game for us. We can't. You drop an egg against Minnesota, you're in a world of trouble. So I mean, this is a must-win for us. The fans got to come out, everybody got to come out, and they got to root the Saints on to a victory. So this is one that we can't lay down.
All right, time now to render a verdict here, and I happen to agree with all 3 of our panelists. I think they will recover from 0-2. I think they can and will make the playoffs because of what we've discussed. There is parity. Look around and see where people are right now. The contenders, Seattle's 1-1, San Francisco's 1-1, Green Bay's 1-1, Carolina's 2-0, Arizona's 2-0, Philadelphia. We'll see what happens on Monday Night Football. Bottom line is the Saints can control their destiny against a team like Carolina, whom they played twice. And again, because of the parity, there's the opportunity there, and I think the fact that they have the second-ranked offense, and they didn't lose a game at home last year, where they are a completely different football team, speaks volumes about their ability to win there. Second in the league in offense. They've got to find some sort of middle ground on defense. They're supposed to be good up front. Hicks has done nothing. Jordan's done nothing. Gillette has a sack. And they're supposed to be good at safety. Bird's forced 1 turnover, but what else has happened back there? Strengths of the team defensively have not been strengths. They have to be stronger, if not strengths, to go along with a strong offense to have a strong finish in the final analysis. When we return in just a moment, we'll take a look at college football. LSU and Tulane were winners. We'll talk winning football. A pleasure when sportsNOLAtv continues from Premier Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Chrysler, New Orleans East on WHNO TV Channel 20.